Mel Lawrenz here from Elmbrook Church. I've had the privilege of being a pastor here for almost 30 full years, the last 10 years as senior pastor. It's been a great privilege. And when I think back over all of those years, if I were to do it all again and start out over, here's 10 specific ideas I'd pass on. Number one, I'd move close to the office earlier on. A few years ago, my family and I moved to a home 1 mile away from the church. Smartest thing we ever did, because in ministry, your life gets chopped up into so many little bits and pieces, and living really close to the office has allowed me to zip home for church or come over here for a 1-hour evening meeting. Really, really good idea. Secondly, I would have earlier on adopted Getting Things Done by David Allen, the best personal and professional organization system there is. Check it out. Thirdly, I would have done more experimentation with preaching. Instead of trying to figure out what is my style of preaching or who am I going to emulate as a preacher, I've in recent years had a lot of fun just experimenting with different styles and different ways of approaching the content, and I think that a preacher can experiment with the teaching ministry your whole career long. Fourthly, I would have earlier on worked very closely with our worship staff, because the more integral our work is together, the better for the church, the better for the worship experience. And the hours that I spend now I consider immensely important, and there's not an hour wasted if you spend it collaborating with the worship team. Number five, I would have gotten to know other pastors in our city better. Just with the busyness of everything and things spilling over the edge, relationships is one thing, especially relationships that aren't imposed upon you is something that can easily go by the boards. Number six, would be more selective in reading. There's a lot of things that comes across our desks for reading, and a lot of reading that other people want us to do, but if I were to be ruthlessly selective in what I read, as I am now, that would be a good thing. Number seven, been more regular in days off. Your family needs to know that there is that time when you are body, mind, and heart present with them. Number eight, handling criticism more directly. I think I've known all along in ministry that criticism comes with the territory. You have to just buck up. You have to endure it. After all, you're dealing with human nature. You're dealing with people at the core of what's most important to them. But I think that we can more often take criticism and see it as an opportunity to move constructively into people's lives. Ninth, delegated more organizational leadership. I can be interested in almost anything in the organization. The problem is you can't do everything. And again, I think you have to be ruthlessly selective about what aspect of the organization you get involved in leadership and what parts you leave to others. And 10th, collect more stories. The power of ministry is collecting the real-life stories of people in a church, in an organization, around the world, retelling those stories vividly, telling people what God is doing and what God intends to do. And I think that earlier on I should have more systematically collected the vivid, great stories and systematically retold them in order to have an impact on people's lives.